Hey there, I'm Kat, and this is Brews and Reviews. Welcome back to another 10 in 2023, where I talk about the last 10 books that I read in 2023. This is a reading wrap-up that I'm doing instead of monthly wrap-ups. Still trying to figure out if this formula works for me, but we will see. So a quick rundown of the format that I have read these 10 books in. 6 of these were audiobooks, 3 were graphic novels, and 1 was an ebook. I actually think this 10 book format is encouraging me to read series sequentially rather than leaving them for ages. So there are a couple of times in today's wrap-up where I'm going to talk about books from the same series. This is progress for me, guys. If you are new here, then you won't know how bad I am at leaving books for a very long time and then having to come back and reread the first book because it was so long ago since I read that first book that I forgot everything that happens and can't read the sequel because I won't understand it. I'm just reading them like near each other now. This is progress. So the first 2 books that I'm going to talk about are from the same series. They are finishing off the series reread slash one of these is a new read, and I'll talk about that when we get to it. But the first is Obsidio, and the second is Memento by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. These are book 3 and book, 1.5 of the Illuminae files. Memento is like a short story about Aiden, and it sort of takes place before and during the events of Illuminae, which is the first book in the series. I'll talk about Memento first. So Memento basically follows Aiden, who is a military AI that becomes damaged and develops a personality and other quirks that are very relevant to the entire Illuminae Files series. And I think it's really interesting. This is the first time I'd actually read Memento. Not sure why it took me so long, but I really enjoyed the sort of logic behind how he started acting the way that he did in Illuminae. And I don't want to say anything else because, massive spoilers for the whole series. And let's talk about Obsidio. This is the 3rd and final book in this series, and I've got to say that I enjoyed this one the least out of the main 3. And this one returns to people who are still alive on Carenza, which is the mining colony which is attacked in Illuminae, and where a lot of the other characters we follow in the previous books are running from. Now, I'm not a big fan of this military occupation slash listening to the occupiers. I did not care about any of their storylines. I was like, okay, this one person, fine, but everyone else, please shuffle on. I don't need pages and pages of this. So I found it really slow at the beginning, and then towards the end it all sort of comes together, and I really liked it, and I just enjoyed it. By the end I was happy and enjoying the whole thing again, but I did have to downgrade the rating because I just don't believe that the beginning of this book, I want to say the beginning 200-300 pages of this book had gripped me quite as much as the other ones. I was fully in it with the other 2 books in the series, and with this one it took a lot longer. So I gave Obsidio 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I gave Memento 4 stars because it's a very short story, and I just, as much as I loved it can't get 5 stars because it wasn't super great / hitting me in the emotional feels, even though it did a little bit. Next up we have A Vow of Love and Vengeance by L.P. Lovell. This is the 2nd book in this series. I don't remember what it's called, but I've been putting this on TBRs for such a long time that it has become embarrassing, and I really needed to read this and finish it, and I finally have. And I'm really glad that I did. This is a dark mafia romance with a forced marriage trope, and I have got to say that I'm really glad that I just reread the first book before I picked this one up, because this one has a lot of elements of trauma and trauma recovery, and the main character is going through it, trying to deal with what has happened at the end of the last book, and sort of everybody in the book is trying to come to terms with what that means and what is going on in the wider world. It is super dark. There is a lot of torture in this one, and there's also self-harm and just various nasty things that happen to people, as well as smutty bits to sort of counter it. I feel like this one didn't quite manage to balance the story with the smut quite as well. I'm not really sure why, but it just felt like there were too many things going on, but we weren't really focusing on those things. We didn't really see the big things happen, so I don't know. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars because I did really enjoy it, and I liked how the story unfolded, but it is really dark, so if you're gonna check this series out, be aware of that, and it's probably worth looking at trigger warnings before you do. Next up is a book that I didn't actually mean to pick up. It is a short story, and it's The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This is actually a reread for me, and when I say I didn't mean to pick it up, I was watching the YouTube channel Dead Meat, and the Dead Meat podcast did an audio recording of The Yellow Wallpaper, and Chelsea is a fantastic narrator, and it was just really like atmospheric, and I really liked listening to it, and I was like, oh, this is actually quite cool, and I would not have probably picked that up, but yeah, the yellow wallpaper is really creepy. It's an old short story about this woman who is put on bed rest by her husband, and she has to stay in this room with the yellow wallpaper, and she slowly goes crazy, and there's like things in the wallpaper, and I can't really say anything more about it. But if you guys do want to check out how I read this, then go check out the Dead Meat podcast. I just really enjoyed that. I give this one 3 out of 5 stars because overall the story isn't like the best thing I've ever read. It's like sort of average to me, but I enjoyed the experience of listening to it. So next up is Legend by David Gemmell. This is a reread for me of my favourite book of all time. This book will always be top tier to me. It's a story about a group of people who are manning a fort and trying to defend against a huge invasion force. There is so much to love about this book, and it is beautifully visual and has so many stories of sacrifice and keeping up hope that I just cannot rate this book enough. It's so great. If you want to hear my extended thoughts on this, then please do check out my Legend review. I'll link it in the description below. As per usual, this book made me cry. It always makes me cry. David Gemmell has that effect on me. He's great. And then continuing on with my David Gemmell reread, King Beyond the Gate. I picked this one up. I loved it. Again, this one made me cry because the last sentence of the epilogue is tears all down the face. It's just a whole time. So this one is set 100 years after the events of Legend and follows the story of Tanaka Khan and a group of other warriors from the Dragon Legion as they try to take down an insane emperor. This one is great because it features some genetically modified human beast people things called joinings, and they are very creepy, very scary, and would be horrible to have to fight against if you were just a regular guy. I also really enjoy that there's like 2 pages in the middle of this book that is just pure banter from all of the characters, and it just made me laugh out loud so much, and I just really appreciated that this book can both make me cry and laugh out loud, and it was great. I'm sure it comes as no surprise that I gave both Legend and The King Beyond the Gate 5 out of 5 stars. Then next up, I picked up Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the second book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and I reread this one as part of the Sister Along read-along. So this book features the fake dating trope and follows Danny and Zach as they sort of take advantage of a social media opportunity in order to sort of help Zaf grow his charity mental health sports business. And it's just great, to be honest. Danny and Zaf are just so perfect together, and I really enjoyed the way that they come to understand each other and sort of break each other's barriers down. I will say that I enjoyed it slightly less on reread than I did the first time I read it, and I'm not really sure why. Maybe I just wasn't in quite the right mood for it, but I don't know. I still gave it 5 out of 5 stars because I think it's a fantastic book. I think it was just something didn't quite match up to the first time I read it, but I still really enjoyed it, and I love these characters. Then last but not least, I have 3 graphic novels that are part of the same series. They are the complete series, so I'm going to talk about them all at the same time, and that is Homesick Pilots. So we have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Now this series is set in the 1990s and follows 2 rival punk bands, a haunted house, and ghosts that get trapped in said haunted house and do bad things. I don't really think I can say much more than that without sort of spoiling it, but let's just say the house is sentient, the house can move. It's kind of like if Ghosts met Pacific Rim, but just fought other ghosts. It's cool. I really enjoyed it very much, and I'm really glad that this series is so short because a lot of graphic novel series I find are just a lot longer, and I just think that all of these ghosts are really cool, and there are some moments in it that just make you go like, oh, okay, that's what I'm seeing now. So I really do recommend this series. I gave volumes 1 and 3 4 out of 5 stars and volume 2 a 3 out of 5 stars. So there we have it. Those are the 10 books that I want to talk about this video. Have you read any of these books? And if you have, please leave a comment telling me about them. Most of these have been rereads for me. If they haven't, then I've just enjoyed them. I've been having a good reading time at the moment, and I'm just super happy about how things are going. So if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!